Good morning, Greater Grace and friends, and welcome to another encounter of Grace Academy Live. Hopefully everyone has a good and safe week this week, and staying safe throughout this pandemic. I am Deacon Tommy Henderson, and as always, alongside me is Sister Regina Rogers. Happy Saturday to you.
Good morning, Deacon. Good morning, Grace Academy. How are you, Deacon?
Good. How was your week?
It was good. It was good.
We'll take that.
Yep.
And also joining us, we have one of our teachers from Grace Academy, Minister LaShonda Brown, joining us today. Happy Saturday to you, too.
Thank you. Good morning, and God bless everyone.
All right, how was your week?
It was great.
Okay, good. Everybody had a good and safe week. All right, we're going to get right into this lesson, another great lesson. But first, let's open up with a word of prayer. As always, dear Heavenly Father, first of all, Heavenly Father, thank you for the ones that have joined us, Heavenly Father. We know as many other streams they could have joined, Heavenly Father. They joined Grace to Grace, Greater Grace, Heavenly Father. Thank you for just keeping us covered thus far, Heavenly Father. And thank you for keeping our family safe, Heavenly Father, because many have not waken up from this virus, and many have caught this virus, Heavenly Father, but we have been safe so far, Heavenly Father. We want to say just continue to cover us, Heavenly Father. Continue to cover the ones under the sound of my voice, Heavenly Father. And continue to cover everybody as we deal with this pandemic, Heavenly Father. Keep our mind at ease, Heavenly Father, and just let everyone know you are still in charge, Heavenly Father. And just come and send your Holy Spirit into this lesson, Heavenly Father. Let someone get something out of it that bring them peace today, Heavenly Father. Let it reach someone that have not been reached, and let it reach someone that do not know who you are, Heavenly Father. And this is my prayer. I your son in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right.
Amen.
I know I always say another great lesson. You kind of hear that, and I don't want to say that like in repetition vein, but I was thinking, how you read a book, a good book, other than the Bible. And some books you read was okay. Some books you read was good. But you read a good book, you want to share with everybody. Say, hey, man, I read this good book. You need to read it too.
Right.
And one thing about the Bible, it's never a bad book. It's
You
always
never
great.
read a bad book?
Now, it's always a great story. And so we need to be just as excited when we read God's word. Tell somebody, man, you need to read this.
When he was causing all that chaos and stuff coming down, when the people was disobedient, you thought those was good books too? Good stories?
Well, it was. It's like that Father John Carr syrup. You don't like it, but it's good for you.
Okay,
so you might don't like that story, but it's always good for you.
That was good. Thank you for,
so in that, today's lesson is injustice will be punished.
Amen.
Which coming from Esther chapter 7, 1 to 10. Again, Esther chapter 7, 1 to 10. Studying this lesson, I don't want to get too deep into it before we get into the outline.
Okay. But
two words jumped out at me: hate and love. Now we're gonna see. It's talked about Haman. Not get too much. He had so much hate for a certain person, it blinded him. We can let hate drive us sometime, and we know you get full of hate, it's gonna drive you down a road you don't want to go down. So this hate drove him to a point that he got so blind he didn't realize who he was fighting. Now, but then the other word I thought about was love.
Okay.
And it makes me reflect on how God takes a bad situation, pour his love into it, and turn that thing around. Because a lot of times we go, why did God let this happen? Or people go, why did this happen? Why did this happen? We don't understand what's coming out of it. But we know God's going to turn it around. Because the title, let's say, injustice will be punished. Because, we like to say, man, how do people get away with that? Why did God let this go? He do things at his own time. Because if we want him to punish people when we want to punish, they might don't get what they need to get out of it. So, we quick to want to punish somebody, and things of that nature. But God does it at his own time. But I love how he does it. He does it with love. So you're going to see them two words, hate and love, come out of it. But what's that old saying that love conquered all?
Yes, it does.
Love conquered all. Yes, and in that, we come out of the book of Esther. But one thing I was reading Esther, but one thing I found interesting is Esther is one of them books that, at least I don't hear people really preaching out of as much. So I'm reading it, it's like, man, I don't hear about Esther a lot. You know what I mean? So I'm sitting there thinking, like, why don't we hear about Esther? So what is it that something we might don't know or somebody might don't know about Esther, they need to know about Esther?
Dick, you brought up a good point, because that's a true statement. I have not really, have you, Minister Brown? I have not really heard any sermons. I've been walking this thing for a while.
Yeah.
And I have not. one of the things I love so much about Greater Grace and Pastor and his teaching, when he gets into a lesson, as we are starting today at Esther 7, it kind of makes you want to go to the beginning because it's kind of, you miss a whole lot.
You do.
We have 2 outlines today, so the lesson is kind of short, but in reading a lesson, it's impossible to try to really understand what God is trying to get through to us today if you had not gone to the beginning of it.
Right.
And it's really a short book. It's only 10 chapters, I think it is. 10 chapters. So what I got out of it was, and I'm going to jack up Greater Grace, Grace Academy. I'm going to jack up some names today. So
okay. I went back and read chapter 1, and them names was really tough.
Let's put these characters in place. We got 4 major characters today that we talk about, and that's King Ahasuerus, Mordecai, Haman, and Queen Esther. So going back to the beginning, what I learned that wasn't her name.
No, it wasn't.
That
That's
was
right.
not her name. Her name was Hadashi.
Closer than what I have.
So, and her relative, Mordecai, was her cousin.
Okay.
In a lot of reading, you see the word uncle. And
I've seen that.
Yeah, you see that. So, for the sake of the lesson, let's say they were related.
Okay.
Let's say related, and that just give us a little room to grow, and let's go do some studying.
Okay.
Her parents had died, and she was a virgin because, again, the king was married to, I'm going to jack this name up, I'm finna tell you right now, Vesta.
Close enough.
Close enough, okay. And it was their customary practice that when they would have a banquet, the queen was to come down per the king's request and her fine linen.
All dressed up and everything.
And she was a 21st century minded woman.
Yeah.
She say she ain't coming.
That's right.
That's
right. She disobeyed him.
She disobeyed him. And so they had one of his personal attendants said, well, let's form this contest and get you a new queen in here. So they had a lot of, call it a harem. We don't like using that word, but a lot of women, young women, beautiful women, because he had a critique. They had to be a certain kind of woman, young, beautiful, virgin woman. They were brought to the palace. Well, see, when God has a call on your life, because if we in our studying, we noticed that when she came down, she didn't take anything that was given to her during her practice. Now, during this practice, they had to be up under the personal assistance of the king, and they had to spend 12 months getting themselves together.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful, yes.
Yeah.
They had to spend 6 months in oil treatments.
Okay. Oh.
They had to spend 6 months in cosmetics, makeup, and things of that nature. You don't know nothing about that, Dick. I'm talking to Minister Brown over there. And they had to present themselves to the king after the 12-month period had expired. Not trying to touch on anything Mr. Brown getting ready to come through with, but it's important because when you get ready to read the lesson, you'll see why certain things were stated, and this was because of chapters 1 through 6. So when you went up to the king, you spent the night with the king. Use your imaginary mind. You do what you do. And you left the next morning. If he did not approve, you did not come back. You went on back over to the group of women. And one of the things, when you say love, this was truly a love story. Because the king had love for this woman, because the law, and not trying to step into the lesson, but the law that was set forth by Haman with his hateful self, the king loved Esther, and that's when you know when you've been connected. What they say, you gotta try the spirit by the spirit, and you got to be equally yoked and things, all that stuff that Pastor teaches us. Because when you get down into this lesson, you could tell that he loved her because it was a law. A law was passed.
Yeah. Well, it was almost like love at first sight.
Yeah.
Because when he saw her, it was, I remember back and read it too, she sort of took his breath away in a sense. And he kind of looked past all the rest of them in a sense. So you're right, that 12 months really did her some good.
Yeah.
Because she must have been really fixed up for him to have all these, and he saw her and he's like, this is the one. So,
And her cousin, again, he looked out for her.
Yeah, he did.
You know,
he
kept a watchful eye on her. Because again, they were both Jews. That's important. We're going to get into the lesson. They both was Jews. And she did not. He told her, don't tell anybody. Yeah. Which was, again, God, if we listen to God and obey God and listen for him. Yeah. Because, again, the devil is real trickery. And sometimes when we get caught up into our own selves, because she could have went on and said, hey, I'm the queen now, honey.
Yeah,
I ain't got to listen to nobody. I done made it.
Like the first wife did.
That's right, right. She had respect for him.
Yeah, she did. And that was very interesting. Like I said, she didn't, they said she was a Jew right off the bat. But you know what thing is, too, is why was she scared to say that? Because they knew Jews was left back after the exile. They let them back, but some of them stayed back there on their own. But I guess they still was being treated unfair, even though they was, kind of accepted there and stayed back there. So thank you. Great background on Esther. Definitely. And that brings us actually to our first outline, which is Esther petition.
Yes. So Esther 7:1. So the king and Haman came to banquet with Esther the queen. And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even to half of the kingdom. Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. For we are souls, and my people to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for a bondman and bondwoman, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he, and where is he that durst presume in this heart to do so? And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. So, in this lesson, we learn that Esther actually had a plan. So, even though this is not a popular book that people preach on, because basically people don't go to the book of Esther because they believe that it doesn't mention God. But if you read your word and study, it gives you how God has favor on his people.
Amen.
Absolutely.
So Esther had a plan. She had a strategy.
Yeah,
and she was basically had in her mind that she was going to set this man Haman up. Even though Haman was actually a worker for the king, which was Esther's husband.
Yeah, so Haman was like the king right-hand man in a sense, though. But you're right, she kind of set it up because what I found interesting was it says on the second day of the banquet. So that means they had a banquet the first day.
Yes.
So she waited to the right moment.
Yes.
So it says, she said, I'm going to wait because, because it was the banquet of wine.
Right.
So that means a lot of wine drinking. So she figured the second day he'd been drinking 2 days in a row. I'm going to wait till that second day and set it up.
Yes.
In our studying, too, we got to go back to where God showed favor, where Mordecai was at the gate when he heard these two guards planning or plotting to kill the king. So he told that to Esther, which she in turn told that to the king. And they had a log where they would, that they would keep all the records in of the events that happened. Okay, so at this point, remember, the king was sleeping before the second banquet because remember she said the plan was invite him to the dinner.
That's right.
That was the setup right there.
Yeah,
Invite
yeah.
him to the dinner. And then I'm going to make my request. Because he loved her so, and whatever it is that she wants, he said, you can have anything that you want. So when he couldn't sleep, he wouldn't call for that book. And he said, well, hey, did we do anything for the man that saved my life? So again, remember the plot, like you said, was to bring him to the party and make the announcement, but he had his own agenda. Haman did.
Yes,
he gonna come and tell him what he want.
Yeah.
And the king said, well, what should we do for a man of great honor? And he thought he was talking to him.
Yeah.
Talking about him. Oh, go get
he wasn't.
Yeah, go get your finest this and get your finest that and take me through. So he thought it was him. Take me through the town. You know, so he was really angry by this point.
Yeah, Haman was.
Haman.
Yeah, he was definitely, he was upset because, but that's out of jealousy. It was out of jealousy. But like she was saying, Esther, she strategized.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, she was strategizing, like you're saying. She made her move at the right time.
Yeah.
And that's how we got to have patience.
That's
Sometimes we move too fast. God will tell us when to move. You know what I mean? Just slow it down, let him work, let it manifest. So yeah, I like her tactics, how she used. She waited till the second day. He was nice and filled with wine and things of that nature. And so he was feeling real good about himself, you know.
So, as it mentioned, she had the king to invite him to both of the banquets. So basically, she was being watchful, you know, to reel him in, basically to reel him into his own death, and he didn't even know it. And then also, she had this plan to trust in God for her covering to get this thing to be done. Like I said, this was her husband's right-hand man. So
the king was really pressing, like, what do you want? You know, he was so in love, he wanted to give her everything. She probably kept saying, no, I don't want nothing. No. So it bothered him that I need to please her in a sense. So he kept asking. So it was kind of a built-up request in a sense. So she let that request build up. See, God tell you, wait. You know, he told her, tell her to wait. So that king, he was like really asking. So he figured at this point, if she make a request now, in the way he's been bugging her, he got to grant that request. You know, and so she warmed up to the king. You know, that just show you the persuasion. You
know, and to that law, it was a law. He waited till it was his time. He was so hateful, and the jealousy came because he made the king make it a law to kill all the Jews.
Yes,
he didn't just want to kill Mordecai. He wanted to kill all the Jews and made up some fictitious story about they not obeying the law, they not honoring, all because the man wouldn't bow down. He wanted him to bow down to him.
Yeah. You know, but here's the thing, though, and I know we brought this up before. He wanted that man to bow down. So that it takes you back to the lesson with the three Hebrew brothers.
Watch out now, Deacon.
King
Watch out now.
wanted them to bow down. So we have another lesson on not bowing down. But here's the thing about just not bowing down is really about God will protect you.
Yeah.
You know, you stand up against what is wrong, no matter what you're facing. Because all of them was facing death, but they stood strong in what they believed. So this shows us God will protect.
21st century woman.
That's it.
Yeah, but you
watch out, girl.
But what's interesting how the wordplay she did here, though. She didn't just tell him about. She said we'd have been better off sold into slavery. So she kind of saying he could at least sold me into slavery, we'd be still alive.
I see that.
But he's trying to actually kill me. So she kind of did a little wordplay with that, saying, if you're going to get rid of us, at least I'd rather be a slave than death. But so she was like, he's even worse. He's trying to destroy all of us, all the Jews.
Yes.
So now she made herself known. So here's the thing, and it don't really talks about it much. When she made herself known as a Jew, the king didn't. He didn't say anything. At this time, he was so in love. I guess it didn't matter to him at this point.
He was fine. He had a good figure,
Yeah, he's the king. He can pass any law he want to pass. But she revealed who she was at the right time. And she was like, we're better off in slavery. And the king, he's the king. He's powerful. So he's thinking to himself, who would be dumb enough or stupid enough to try to kill my wife? But here's the thing about...
Many wives, D. He had many wives. He had many wives.
That's true. But here's the thing about that with the king. he had a role to play in this. And that's what we got to look at. He signed that decree. Even though he was tricked into it, he signed that decree for all the Jews to get killed. He should have looked more into it. He didn't realize his wife was a Jew.
Amen.
So, of course, he was upset, but at the same time, he had to be upset with himself. But that shows you, too, is we are so easy to point out everybody else's sin.
That's it.
We'll point out somebody else doing wrong versus ourselves doing wrong. The king and other folks before we even look at ourselves. First thing we do, we need to check ourselves first. And so the king, he was upset, but, his hand was in it. His hand was in it. He said, who is this enemy? Who is this wicked person? And she pointed out Haman. So I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about, they're at a banquet, they celebrating, right? Having a good time,
Was
drinking
other
wine.
people there?
There was a lot of folks there.
Okay.
There was a lot of folks there. They having a good time.
Drinking the wine.
Haman, right.
What did he say, Mr. Brown? They drinking that wine.
So you can imagine the look on Haman's face when he got exposed. What the look that now he's like, here he is, figure he's going to be honored in a sense because he was the right-hand man. So she exposed him. And the king was so upset that he left out. But I think it was more so that he was made a fool out of.
Oh, wow.
He was embarrassing. He was embarrassed by that. So he was made a fool out of because he knew he signed a decree. So he was like, how can I go back and say so? He had to, let me get my thoughts together. Let me run out to this garden here and get my thoughts together because I done been made a fool out of.
We ain't got to come back tomorrow, next week, Minister Brown, because Dick got this thing right here. That was good, yeah.
Yeah, he was made a fool out of.
He was embarrassed.
He was embarrassed. He's the king.
Yes.
So his anger now is like, not so much you threatened my wife. His anger was probably saying, you made a fool out of me as a king. You made a mockery out of me as a king.
Exactly.
So that was embarrassing to him as a king.
Yeah.
So Haman was terrified now. So he went from what? Being happy?
Scared.
Being terrified. So you like say you once was celebrated, now you still find yourself in the mind. So he probably thinking, how can he out of it? He didn't know Esther was a Jew.
That's right.
So he's sitting there thinking like, his mouth probably hit the ground. So he's sitting there thinking, he didn't know Esther was a Jew. And he was plotting against him. But this also tells you too is, pick and choose your battles. Pick and choose your battles. He picked a fight with Mordecai, but you was actually picking a fight with God. So you got to pick and choose your battles wisely out here. That was a fight he wasn't going to win.
No.
But he didn't know that going into it. He got so ahead of his steam of so much hatred. It blinded him to, Mordecai actually was a good person, but he wanted people to bow down to him so much as the king. The king wasn't even asking them to bow down to him. We want people to praise us so much, don't we? How good we doing and things of that nature. So we got to be careful and want to always get the praise.
Amen.
And always want to be first. Because he said what? The first will be last?
The last to be first.
So we got to learn how to, humble ourselves.
Amen.
Because I'm pretty sure he's about to get humble in this battle here with the king.
That's it. You never know who someone is connected to.
Well, yeah, one thing about it, you have to be careful in going against God's people.
Amen.
You can't talk about God's people and expect God to sit back and do nothing. And you hear that so much sometimes. And I know out there, you listen to people talk, especially at work and things of that nature, and people find a reason not to go to church.
Yeah.
This pastor this pastor that. And I sit back, I look at them and go, okay, nobody's perfect. Or let's say it's a bunch of hypocrites in church and this, that, and that. I'm like, you gotta be careful talking about God's people.
Sure
I sit back, I look at them like, no, I'm not gonna get in that conversation about the line. Haman dismissal.
And the king arose from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden, and Haman stood up to make a request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. And Harbor, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold also the gallon 50 cubes high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who spoke good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon. Closing out at verse 10. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then said the king's wrath. I got stuck.
The king's wrath pacified.
I got stuck, y'all.
You good.
I got stuck. Because this king, like you said, was upset.
Yeah.
And how God would set that thing up for you, because the man was just pleading for his life. Now the king walked in and said, "No, you ain't in my bed with my wife."
Yeah, but you see what's interesting though? At that point, so he figured, "Oh my God, I need that forgiveness with the queen. Let me soften the queen heart, because he knew. See, but here's the thing: him and the king was homies now, so he knew what the king was gonna do to him. Right off the back, he already knew. I embarrassed the king. He knew he was gonna die. So he figured, I'm not gonna run out there and follow behind the king to beg the king. Right. I'm gonna go to the one I know heart's a little bit softer. So he fell to her best side. Now here's the king come in, right? Come in. So would you try? I'm pretty sure the king knew he wasn't gonna kill his wife, but the king once again was made a fool out of her. So he had to make a big old scene, right? You even trying to kill my wife in front of me in my own house?
Oh, you think that's what
he was embarrassed.
He went out there and got his script together.
Yeah, he got his stuff together. He went out there to hammer play this in front of everybody at the banquet, you know. Oh, Lord. So yeah, he had to go out there and get himself together, get his thoughts together first.
Yes. And going back a couple of chapters ahead, Mordecai and his homie Slices and his wife, they all gathered together about how Mordecai should be killed.
That's right.
And they done built this whole, what did it say? It was 50 cubes high.
Yep.
So it was like a big pole. And I guess, just trying to use my little mind here, that they just had some type of gathering and they just all stood around and they just hung the man on the pole and killed him. Pretty much. This is, you're not the king. You're just a prince. You're just a noble. You just wanted a guard servant. Yeah. Because I think it was chapter 4 where they said, when the king said, well, who down at the gate? Who's guarding the place? So
that nature. So here, like I said, Haman, I can imagine him just constantly pleading for his life, And I was thinking, and when the king came in, king asked him, would you assault my wife? I was thinking of an old thing and said, when you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. He was just digging himself just deeper and deeper and deeper in the hole. Because he knew the king was going to come for him. So he's just pleading out of his pure mercy. But I was looking at this. He was asking the king for mercy. The king was going to show him. He was asking the wrong king for mercy. He was pleading for mercy. That king didn't show him no mercy, did he?
He should have been pleading to God.
There you go. You pleaded to the wrong king for mercy. We got to be careful who we asking for mercy from.
Yeah, while he was on that bed, he should have been praying to God.
Exactly. He went on his knees begging, right?
Yeah.
Well, you went on your knees for the wrong person. Yeah. So that tell you right there. Yeah. Not say she didn't have a soft heart from whatever, but he was pleading to the wrong person.
Yeah.
So we got to be careful. When we get on our knees, who we get on our knees to plead and ask mercy for. So he was pleading to the wrong person and pretty much got him nowhere.
And Reverend Darrell came through here and said, be careful. He had to get him a topic. Be careful who you planning to hang. Because this one right here, you got to remember, this is a Jew. And who is God's people? Chosen folks.
Yeah.
We got to be careful. You got to be careful. Because he had a plan for this man.
He did. But here's the thing. I think I was reading in verse 9. And one of the chamberlains said before the king, Behold also the gallop 50 cubits high which Haman had made. So they other folks knew about Haman's plot too. Right? Because he had to have somebody help him build it. So minute that Haman got in trouble, you see, it's so much coming out of this lesson that we can pull out of it. Be careful when the people we keep around us, because in the time of trouble, is they going to stick with you?
Or they going to snitch.
They didn't stick with him, did they? They didn't plead with him. They turned around and said, oh, wait a minute, king, you know what, he did this, he did that. And they could have been told the king all this, right?
Right.
They waited. Minute he got in trouble, they waited. So, it's different motives here. Why did they wait it? They figured he's out of the way. The next person in line may be me.
That's it.
So while you sitting there plotting against other folks, somebody's plotting against you.
That's right.
So you stabbing somebody in the back while somebody waiting to stab you in the back. So we got to be careful when we plotting against people. We got to be careful when we, like I said, plotting against God's people.
And so you think in verse 10, them same men that helped build
Hung him up there, right?
I can't. Somebody come save me. Somebody come save me.
Can you imagine that?
Wow.
So he probably looking at them like, y'all help me build this. Wow. And now they putting him up there and they hanging him.
Sorry, man.
Yeah. You're on your own, man. Don't mention us.
Wow.
You know, that's something. But I found this, when I was reading this, and a verse stuck out to me was Galatians 6 and 7.
Okay.
I'm going to read it. Verse 6 and 7, Galatians 6, 7 said, Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he reap.
Amen. Amen.
You sow bad seed, the pole.
Well, Dick, you the only one that's sitting in the middle here, man. So here go verse 10, that last little sentence right there. Then was the king's wrath pacified. So when he had to go back to the queen and say, when this was done. Because, again, as you pointed out that his hand was in this thing.
Yeah, it was.
In the beginning. So did he have to go back and fix that whole thing at the end of the day?
Well, that's why he had to kill Haman.
Okay.
He had to kill. He had to show the queen, look,
Okay.
I done took action.
Okay.
He had to kill Haman. See, he couldn't just say, okay, Haman, you just been punished. So he know, because you think about it, leading up to it, he kept asking the queen, what is it that you want? And the one thing she actually wanted, he realized, you know, it ain't no, he was thinking more of gift, treasure,
Okay.
or name a city after you or something like that, or somebody bow down to you. He wasn't thinking a plot that he was actually a part of. So he was probably sitting there thinking like he was desperate to find a solution because he was in love with Esther.
Amen.
So he was like thinking like, man, I was about to have her and her people killed. I'm gonna lose her heart. So he had to do something real drastic. Kill him. They said he built a pole. He said hang him up there too right away. Yeah. It wasn't even a thought of it. He said hang him up there too.
Let me clean this thing up real good.
Let me hang him up there too.
Yeah.
So he went back to her and probably said, babe. Babe, you got to worry about him no more. We're gonna hung him up. You know, he gonna be there for a while. You know, they'll leave him hanging for 3 or 4 days so people can see not to do it anymore.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure he had to. It said the king was pacified. Nah. Like the guy, no, he knew that plot. That plot was there, so he put the people in the right place.
That's right.
Because when they was in captivity with the Babylonians and they got freed, a lot of the Jews went back to Jerusalem.
Okay.
And they stayed back. Mm-hmm. He kept certain people back. And there was a plan all in the beginning with Malachi and with Esther because he knew his people were going to need to be saved. So Esther was put in the right position at the right time, and she saved her people. You know, but that's the love she had for them because you think about it this time, she not really lied to the king. She never told the king she was a Jew.
Right.
So she exposed herself.
That's it.
But there was the love. Now remember at the beginning of the open, I said it was 2 words, hate and love. Mm-hmm. We saw the hate, which was Drew hanging.
Okay.
He had so much hate that he was so blind that he thought he was fighting against the Jews, he was fighting against God. Mm-hmm. Then the love come in that Esther had so much love for her people, she was willing to expose herself as a Jew. Didn't even know the consequences come behind it because she never told the king. King could have go, why you didn't tell me this? Why you tricked me? You know, at the time, the king, they was chopping off people's heads. They're chopping off everybody's head that helped bring her in. So she was risking herself and anybody else that helped put her there. But that's the love she had for her people.
You know what? That was a good point because in her fasting, when she told Mordecai to go back and tell the people we're going into a fast,
especially at Greater Grace. I just love my Greater Grace family. I'm going to tell you that right now. I cannot stop speaking to anybody here.
Amen.
You can say what you want to say to me next Sunday. How you doing, sister? How you doing, brother?
Amen.
But that's that love we need to have for each other here, you know. But that's the love we need to have for each other out everywhere.
Amen.
That love.
Amen. Amen.
Great lesson.
It was a
great
great lesson. It was short, but it was powerful. It was powerful. It was powerful.
Man, and it was coming out of the book of Esther. So it gave us a different look at this book here, Esther, that's rarely touched.
It really
does. Because we know throughout the book, it's a lot of powerful women in these, not a lot more men, but the women in these books was powerful, which we don't talk about as much.
Amen.
There was some powerful women in these books, and they played a good role in these books. So Esther was one of them other strong women that's rarely talked about because it was her strength that saved her people and her love that saved her people. another great lesson. Like I said, we have another great lesson next week. We'll be here same time, same place. Next week's lesson is
prophet, Isaiah.
Oh, wow. Back to Isaiah.
Yep.
The Lord loves justice. They go that word love again.
Yeah, love.
They go that love. Well, thank y'all for tuning in to Grace Academy Live.
Amen.
We definitely don't take it lightly, as I say, that there's a lot of streams out there. You choose us. And as always, we want to just close out with a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, first of all, thank you, Heavenly Father. Thank you for the ones that have tuned in, Heavenly Father. Thank you for the teachers beside me, Heavenly Father. And like I said, let someone get something out of this lesson, Heavenly Father, that will keep them, Heavenly Father, through this